My coworker tickled another coworker, and now there is chaos. I am not the original poster. Original post in Ask a Manager. Check out the link below to read Allison's advice. Reminder: do not comment on linked posts. Trigger warnings. Workplace harassment. Toxic work environment. Touching without consent. Less than. Mood spoilers. Eventually things calm down. Less than. TLDR. Restrained a coworker's feet and tickled her. And things went very badly afterwards. Less than. My coworker tickled another coworker. And now there is chaos. May 2nd, 2017. My company has had a relatively informal, somewhat relaxed working environment in the past, where colleagues generally got along well and we had a decent time together, even while working hard. Unfortunately, that balance has recently been upended in department I work in. 2 weeks ago, my coworker, Rachel, kicked the power strip under the desk in her cubicle, so she slipped off her heels and crawled under to pop it back in. The young woman in the cubicle behind her, Monica, had a serious lapse in judgment at this point. She knelt down and slipped an arm around Rachel's ankles when she was vulnerable and began tickling her feet. It was an unusual moment, to say the least, and reactions ranged from amusement to mild horror. If you asked Monica, she would say she only had a light hold to avoid getting kicked during a playful moment that went too far. If you asked Rachel, she'd say she was rendered largely immobile and humiliated. I didn't have the best view, but it looked to me as though reality was closer to Rachel's side. Our manager, Phoebe, rushed in after several seconds of laughing, shouting to break it up. It was a good thing she was there, because I thought for sure that Rachel was going to slug Monica otherwise. Phoebe walked Monica to HR, and we wondered if Monica was done for. Apparently, they allowed her to remain with the company, but told her she'd be dismissed if she put one toe out of line. Hey, I don't know the details, but I do know that Rachel was furious that the girl wasn't fired. Since that point, she has done everything she can to make Monica so unhappy that she feels compelled to quit. From passive-aggressive emails, to trying to rally coworkers to petition management to let her go, to bringing up the incident, as it's come to be called, at every available opportunity. As a result, Rachel is becoming difficult to work with, and Monica is becoming a basket case. It's gotten to the point where yesterday, I talked to Monica because I felt sorry for her. I'd heard her crying in the ladies' room that morning, only to have Rachel snarl at me later for trying to be friendly. I'm fairly certain that Phoebe knows what's happening, but is hesitant to address the issue with Rachel since she was the original victim. Phoebe is also rather hands-off in management style, so that isn't helping the situation. The environment is becoming increasingly uncomfortable and our department being split on whether Monica should have been let go from the start hasn't helped. And I can sense people starting to take sides. Any advice would be appreciated. Update September 7th, 2017. First and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time to craft a thoughtful response to my letter. Monica, the tickler, left the company last week. I don't know all the details, but I reached out and she said that she and management came to an understanding, but wouldn't say more, and I didn't push. She was a middle child in a large family that showed a lot of physical affection, and tickling wasn't something vicious or mean as far as she was concerned. And it was probably that background that contributed to her lack of judgment. I won't make excuses for her actions, but I really feel bad for her and hope she finds another position and that she can learn from her mistake instead of being punished for it further. She is clearly an extrovert and feeling cut off from people and caught in an atmosphere of hostility and isolation really affected her, though how much pressure was from Rachel and how much, if any, Came from higher UPS. I couldn't say. I offered to have coffee and catch up. And if she takes me up on that, I might have more info in the future. As for Rachel, once Monica was gone, some of my coworkers expected her to gloat or strut around. But she's been awfully subdued. She doesn't talk much about anything except work. Even inconsequential things. Perhaps that will change. But it's as if she didn't know how to react once she got what she wanted. As far as I know, our manager never confronted her. Though I won't swear to that. Things seem to be getting back to normal. Otherwise, our boss brought some treats. And we did a couple of fun group exercises. And people have relaxed a bit. Still, I'm wary of how quickly things can get deeply uncomfortable. Thank you again for your time and your advice. The togetherness was a facade over a lax management style. Anyone can pilot a boat if you don't need to turn it. But as soon as an iceberg appeared, everything fell apart. I can understand the empathy Op felt for Monica, but if a coworker tickled my bare feet, saying I'd be pissed is an understatement. Unwanted touching is unwanted touching. You shouldn't be allowed to touch a coworker without their permission. Even if Monica just thought she was being goofy, she was wrong. It seems like a lot of people are glossing over the fact Monica pinned Rachel on the floor. It wasn't like she just came up and wiggled her fingers on Monica's feet while they were exposed. Rachel was belly first on the floor, probably partially under furniture. And suddenly her legs are bound and someone has immobilized her and refuses to let go. On top of that, Monica doesn't stop until the manager comes in to stop her. Tickling or not, that's just screwed up. It seems strange to me that Monica had enough foresight to do something to avoid getting kicked, but not to think that maybe doing something that will get you kicked is not a good idea. I know the oop is sympathetic. And I get doing something dumb and thoughtless. But if I was Rachel, I think I'd probably also want Monica gone. I don't like how the oop thought Rachel would gloat about getting Monica fired. That pretty much solidified in my mind whose side they were on. But to be humiliated like that by a coworker as other coworkers laughed, watched. Fuck yeah, I'd fight for the other person to be dismissed. The girl was on the ground, hands and knees, unable to do anything as a colleague tickled her feet, made area coworkers laugh, and was apparently unable to get out fast enough. Good riddance emo. Sad she apparently has to deal with the backlash anyway though. Strange all around. Never come up behind someone at work and make sudden physical contact. I've had several coworkers learn that the hard way. Some of us have PTSD. I don't think Rachel's behavior was okay, but I suspect it's rooted in trauma. I can't imagine wanting to touch one of my coworkers' feet. I'm wary of how quickly things can get deeply uncomfortable. Seems to me the easy solution to office harmony would to not forcibly put your hands on a coworker. It shouldn't be that difficult. I managed to go my entire career without doing it. Monica should have obviously been fired immediately. As usual, bad management is the bigger issue. As for Rachel, once Monica was gone, some of my coworkers expected her to gloat or strut around. But she's been awfully subdued. She doesn't talk much about anything except work. Even inconsequential things. Perhaps that will change. But it's as if she didn't know how to react once she got what she wanted. As far as I know, our manager never confronted her. Though I won't swear to that. To be fair, there's no point in gloating nor strutting around when person who the root cause of the Y office is so hostile is now finally completely gone. Especially when root cause is violating another person, touching part of the body that other people normally touch without permission. I'm sure Rachel is happy of the outcome. She probably didn't want a celebratory after what happened. What it finally took plus how long it took for Monica to leave. Willing or not. I remember reading this one the first time around on AAM. And I thought oop, and to a lesser extent Allison, were being a bit too accommodating to Monica at Rachel's expense. Someone held her down and touched her against her will at work. I don't blame Rachel for being extremely uncomfortable with this and extremely upset that essentially nothing happened. They didn't even involve her in the mediation. They just called Monica into the back, apparently said, "Don't do that again," and called it a day. Oop was bending over backwards to come up with justifications for Monica doing this but didn't seem to be anywhere near as charitable when it came to trying to understand Rachel's reaction. I hate it when Redditors do the whole, if the gend urzwuz different, routine. But this is one of the incredibly rare cases where it's actually a useful thing to note. If Monica were, let's say Joey, and held his coworker down to tickle her feet, I'm pretty sure Joey's ass would have been fired on the spot. And with good reason. I think everyone downplayed the inappropriateness of this behavior because Monica seems less threatening. But it's worth noting that Rachel had no idea who was holding her down and tickling her feet. There's a lot of lessons to be learned here. Because I'm sure that no one told her life was gonna be this way. Hands clapping, hands clapping, hands clapping, hands clapping, hands clapping. Why does Oop sound so confused that Rachel is not gloating and is kind of subdued? She's not a middle schooler. Though I'm starting to think Monica and Oop might be. Rachel is probably just uncomfortable about not exactly being supported by her workplace after she was harassed. Also, can we just straight up stop tickling as a society? Does anybody actually like this? It's a super weird non-consensual act that does not feel good and also feels oddly humiliating. What if we just collectively stopped? Whenever I have a problem employee, my other employees are like, I don't want him to get fired. But it's generally really a cry for someone to fix the behavior, not fire the instigator. Although I will say if nothing changes, they are always relieved when the instigator is finally fired and generally think it should have happened sooner. Rachel probably didn't want Monica fired really, only punished. And boy is social isolation a great way to punish an extrovert. Now that Monica actually was canned, Rachel probably fears that she's gone too far. Or at least that her coworkers will think she's gone too far. I'm not surprised about Rachel's feelings after the firing. She doesn't feel justice, just relief. I expect she knows that Monica didn't do it out of cruelty. And yet, she is relieved that Monica having traumatized her resulted in the appropriate consequences. It actually reminds me of 45 years ago when my mom tried to take me to a party. One of her friends, Chuck, was there. And I refused to get out of the car because he had a history of tickling me and teasing me. Back then it was classed as fun. And she encouraged me to join the party. But now it would be considered physical and verbal assault if I'd had the guts to stand up for myself at 5 years old. I'm so angry that she let him treat me that way. Some people either don't realize how traumatic tickling can be, or don't care. I'm not a violent or aggressive person, but I've never wanted to punch someone more than when being restrained and tickled. That said, this situation is dumb and I feel bad for both of them. It's insane to imagine an adult getting on the floor to forcefully tickle another adult's feet while at work. Monica is an idiot and clearly needed the wake-up call of how to act in a workplace. She's lucky she only lost her job and didn't end up with a black eye or a broken nose, because Rachel would have been completely within reason to kick that imbecile in the face.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.